What's going on, everybody? The hype continues for the final shape. Not only has the content been amazing, but now more than ever before, we have the ability to make custom builds for us to play the game the way we want to. And right now, I want to play a sword and shield build. So let me show you an overview of how the build works through some gameplay, and then afterwards I'll go step by step through the weapons, the armor, the perks, everything that you need to know. So obviously, since we don't have a primary weapon, we're going to be starting with our special weapon here, the Ergo Sum. And I like to start off by using my shield ability just to put it on cooldown. That way I have better utility for my Ergo Sum Gathering Light. So that was a heavy weapon with our Chivalric Fire. Chivalric, man, such a hard word to say. Anyways. Okay, we can even use this. Deal some damage. Go ahead and use our shield. See, now we get the strand orb that we can throw around. For me, that's an easy way to hit the witches. For some reason, I have trouble aiming my strikes. But if you hold the block button and aim up towards him with your cursor, he'll jump up towards the witch. Much easier, much more consistent. We got that. We're Radiant because of that, and we have Overshield as well for a short time. We're collecting our Gathering Light. We can throw our grenade if we want to, if there's no need for us to do our Unbreakable Shield. Okay, times 10. You know what? Let's go over to our heavy weapon here. So here's what I was saying. So if you block, and then you aim upwards...
Huh?
Okay. Never mind. Forget what I was saying. Editor, cut that out. Oops. That was a bad throw. I almost shot him with my gun. I didn't. You guys saw that, right? Not a shot was fired. Still have video integrity here. Where are those shots coming from? Oh, wow. What do you guys think? Kobe. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Gotta love those caster frames, right? Hello, boys. Trying to get a finisher off. There we go. Okay, so let's get right into the build. Obviously, we're running Prismatic for this to work, and we are going with the Twilight Arsenal as our Void Super, which is really good because it weakens enemies. It's actually a really cool animation. I love using axes, and we actually get to throw 3 of them and then pick them back up and swing them afterwards, so it's a whole lot of fun. And as far as our shield ability, our melee, we're going with the shield throw, obviously, for this shield and sword build to work. We got to go with the shield throw. We're going with Thermite Grenade because I think this is just really good because of the scorch and the ignition it provides. But most of the time we're not going to be using the grenade itself because we're going to be using this Unbreakable Void aspect. So this provides us an overshield, and just as you can see here, it says press Q, hold to summon a void shield and block a portion of incoming damage, gradually draining your grenade energy and granting an overshield over time. Releasing the grenade input or running out of energy releases a frontal blast from your shield that deals increased damage based on how much damage was blocked. Combatants that come in contact with your shield are temporarily disoriented, so that's a really good ability there. Again, it's just another shield type ability we can use for our build, which makes a lot of sense. And as far as the second aspect, we're using Drenger's Lash. There's not a great second choice here, but I think this works just because it gives us something extra to do with our barricade. There's not a whole lot that we're going to use it for this type of build, but now we can throw it out and it's going to release a ripple effect that kind of captures the enemy, suspends them, and does damage as well. So that's going to be good for us. It's a bit of defense and offense. And there's actually going to be a secondary effect that goes off with our barricade, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. And as far as the fragments, we haven't unlocked all of them yet. Still working on it. There's a lot to go through. So for now, This is what I'm using: Facet of Hope, Facet of Courage, Facet of Balance, Facet of Ruin, Facet of Purpose, and Facet of Dawn. So obviously this is a work in progress build, but obviously we'll be getting better items, better aspects, and we'll be figuring out better mods as we go. Real quick before we continue with the video, if you enjoy build breakdowns such as this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss any Destiny 2 uploads. Also, leave a comment below with any changes or upgrades you would make for a sword and shield build like this. Okay, back to the video. So that's going to do it for the subclass. Basically, our primary weapon, we're not really going to be using one. I have the Call on here just because that's my favorite sidearm at the moment. I love using this weapon. But obviously, we're focusing on sword and shield. So all we're doing is using our sword for our weapon attacks, and obviously our grenade and our melee as well. So we're not doing anything with this. We have the Ergo Sum, the, what's it called, the Gathering Light version of it. Final blows with this weapon grant stacks of Gathering Light, improving guard stats and lunge range. Stowing this weapon consumes all stacks, granting melee, grenade, and class ability energy. So this is really good because every time we kill an enemy, we get a stack of Gathering Light. And even though it does help with the current usage of this weapon because of the guard stats and lunge range, mostly we just want to get it up to max stacks, which is 10, and then switch to another weapon. That way those stacks convert to melee, grenade, and class ability energy. That's what it's really good at doing for us. We're using Tempered Edge here, Balanced Guard, Transcendent Duelist, which is really good. This weapon collects less ammo. Final blows with this weapon accelerate light and darkness mastery. Deals increased damage while transcendent, defeating targets, lengthens transcendence. So this is good because it lets us build up our transcendence meter faster, and while we activate transcendence and use the weapon, we're doing increased damage and it lengthens the duration of transcendence. So that's just really strong all around. And then for our heavy weapon, we're using Chivalric Fire. Okay, and we're using Tempered Edge, Balanced Guard, Relentless Strikes. This is really good because it lets us get back a little bit of sword ammo as long as we do 3 light attacks in a short amount of time. We always want to make sure we have ammo because otherwise we're not going to be able to swing our sword, and that's the main way to get damage from this build. So we need ammo for that. Attrition Orbs are good. Sustained damage creates an Orb of Power. We have several ways to create Orbs of Power in this build, and every time we make an Orb of Power, it also gives us Overshield for a short duration, so that's really awesome. It boosts our defense, so can't go wrong with Attrition Orbs. Then we have Vanguard's Vindication. Final blows grant a small amount of health, and obviously we have maxed this out for impact. And as far as the weapon mod, I just went with increased mag size. That way we can have more strikes with this weapon before we run out of ammo, so that's what I went with. You're free to use Radar Booster, Spring Grip, Quick Access, Sling, whatever you think is better for your needs. The artifact for this season, the only thing that really affects our build is going to be this right here. Final blows with the kinetic weapon or weapon matching your equipped super, which is going to be Void. Creates an elemental pickup that matches your equipped super. Overload Sword. Landing consecutive hits with the sword you are wielding disrupts combatants, stunning them, delaying ability energy regeneration, and lowering combatant damage output. Strong against overload champions. Additionally, swords are always overcharged when that modifier is active. Also, we have this right here, Counter Energy. When you or a member of your fire team stuns a champion, you gain energy for your least charged ability. And obviously, we need to keep as many regeneration for our abilities as we can. We constantly want them to be regenerating so we can use them over and over, because abilities and swords is really the only way we're getting our damage, so we have to count on those. Blade Stamina, repeatedly defeating combatants with the sword refunds some ammo. Obviously, like I said earlier, we need ammo. We're using only special ammo and heavy ammo, so we need to have those constantly. We don't have a primary weapon with this build, so ammo is key. Void Hegemony. While you have a Void or Prismatic subclass, which we do, defeating weakened targets provides a small Void Overshield. So again, this is just more ways for us to keep our Overshield and to have more of a defensive boost on us as often as we can. Expanding Abyss. Void sources deal increased damage to weakened targets. So our super is able to weaken targets. And obviously our heavy sword is a void weapon, so we're able to deal increased damage to bosses that way. And lastly, Shield Crush. Well, you have Woven Mail, Frost Armor, or a Void Overshield, which obviously we have several ways to get that. Your melee recharges faster and deals increased damage. While you are amplified or radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. And we do have ways to get radiant in this build as well, so we'll be able to recharge our grenades faster. That's it for the weapons and the artifact. So right here I have Heavy Ammo Finder, Void Siphon, Arc Siphon, Melee Kickstart, Momentum Transfer, Firepower, Void Reserves, Arc Reserves, Melee Damage Resistance, and Orbs of Restoration, Recuperation, and Absolution. So these are the mods that match the playstyle that I want to do with this, but obviously you can change the mods to fit your needs. Armor, it's not that important, but the class exotic item is. We're running with Stoicism. So currently we have Spirit of the Bear, move faster while guarding with the Unbreakable Shield. Damage blocked with Unbreakable is converted to Super Energy. So obviously we are running Unbreakable Shield, and now this lets us to move around faster while the shield is up, but also the energy that we block is converted to Super Energy. So that lets us use our super even faster, because obviously we don't have long range weapon, we don't have a primary weapon, so we're going to be doing damage with super, transcendent, our abilities, and swords. So this lets us get to our super quicker and more often. Okay, your barricade unleashes a blast of solar energy that scorches targets. That's Spirit of the Horn. So I mentioned earlier that our barricade is going to be shooting out that green shockwave that suspends enemies. And on top of that, it's also going to release a solar blast. So not only are we dishing out damage, we're suspending the enemy, and if the enemy gets killed, there's going to be a green orb that drops that we can throw out, later on to do additional damage. So I just see that as a huge boost to our damage and survivability. So obviously this is good for now. There's probably better Titan marks, to be honest, but this is just what we've uncovered so far. So that's pretty much going to do it for the build. Like I said, this is a work in progress. I just wanted to show you what I've come up with so far, and as I do little tweaks here and there, I will update you on how the build turns out. Please, like I said before, leave a comment down below with any things that you would change in order to improve this build. But for now, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay from Breach and Vanguard Strikes. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.